Live Nation is an amazing company and kind of revolutionizing the business. I think I read that you did like 33,000 concerts last year to 76 million people, 18 different countries. Touring artists now are getting 75% of their what they make from the road as opposed to their music. So the business has changed, and you've kind of done it. Or what if it happened without you? Is it inevitable?
You know, it's a perfect storm has happened. For 30 years, the record label was the king of the hill. You toured to sell records. And the record promoter was the used car salesman. We were the last on the food chain. And thankfully for the internet, which has really, dislocated the record model, it has empowered our model. Because overnight, you can now buy tickets online. Being in the ticketing business is easy. Going on the road is the way now an artist makes his money.
And in the old days, and it's still somewhat true, the big artists took most of the revenue. So the margins in concert touring were not great. Has that improved, or is that still a problem?
It's still a problem. The artist is in a bit of a tough situation. Their revenue source for so many years was the record. Now all of a sudden their advances, their touring support, how much they're making from a record is declining. So if you're the accountant on the artist side, it's really hard to figure out how to take more money out of the CD. It's really easy to sit at midnight in the settlement room and talk about why he sang and danced and deserves 90% of the money that night. So the business is a low-margin business on the concert side, if you look at the absolute number. In terms of, I always say to my investors, the success for me next year would be Led Zeppelin reunited, Pink Floyd reunited, and AC/DC and U2 went on the road. That would make my margins probably decrease, my revenue double, but my profit would still go up at the end of the day. So we get a little bit of a bad rap because unlike advertising agencies who don't report the gross, they report their fees, we report the gross. So we report the 300 million Madonna gross, even though, yes, we make only 10% of that. So in absolute, the margins are low. When you strip back the $3 billion in revenue, that's what we consider flow-through. The concert business is at least the stable part of the pie right now.
And now you make a big bet. You're signing giant artists to big deals, and you take more than just the touring revenue, right?
Yes. Yes.
Is that your strategy, or is that just a way to be recession-proof, or what?
It's a bit of everything. When we took over 3 years ago, we only do two things for a living at a concert company. We buy talent rights, and then we monetize the pipe. We spend a lot of money every year, about $2 billion a year, writing checks to artists to come and play at our venues or others. We had looked at it and figured out that why would we be spending money of this magnitude for a one-night affair? Why wouldn't we be getting in business with these artists on a much longer-term perspective? So bands like U2 and Madonna, any of those artists that we can figure out how to be in business for the next 10 years with, not bidding every time the deal's up, not bidding about every city, not bidding for the next 5 years, but being able today to say, we have superstars that will fill the pipe.
And you have them exclusive?
Exclusively.
So you put down $400 million for Jay-Z, Madonna, and what?
Shakira.
Right.
U2, Madonna, Shakira, Nickelback,
right.
Jay-Z.
So you throw down $400 million and say we're in all your businesses, except for maybe publishing here or something there, and you're exclusive.
Yes.
Now, we're in a tough time. Do you find that the local, smaller venues will be more recession-proof than the giant stable arenas?
There's an old saying in the business, tough times, the top does well, the bottom does well, and the middle gets hurt. We are finding right now that the top is on fire. We have Madonna on sale right now, AC/DC, Coldplay, Jonas Brothers, and we can't print enough tickets. And those are shows going well into 2009.
So do you think you're recession-proof or recession-resistant, or do you think that, like everything else, there's going to be a slowdown?
We just did a Q3 earnings, and our year was up over last year. We're going to finish 2008.
On the revenue and the profit side?
On our core activity side. More tickets, more shows, more per head consumption.
So when you made your Madonna deal, your stock got hit because people are nervous about the kind of money you're spending, no?
I think we got a double hit. I think we had a story not told well. we didn't do a good job of getting out there in front of the story. The first perception was that we were getting into the record business, and that's just not an investor-friendly move right now. Once we explain that we're not going into the record business, we are in the touring business and the distribution business. And two, and once we explained that we didn't spend $400 million on a Friday, we didn't spend $100 million for Madonna up front. These are 10-year deals. These are staggered payments throughout the time. They're all pay-per-performance as the rights come available. And by the second and third quarter of this year, when we outlined the nickelback in these deals and talked about them being 8 to 9% margin deals, double what we're doing in our core business, the Street came back and understood that fulfilling our pipe with higher margin deals over time is a good strategy. But it took some time. It absolutely is a tough marketplace right now to explain to the Street why being in the music business in general is a good story, because they've been reading a lot of record business clutter for a long time.